Gentlemen, you have applied for a position as commercial airline pilots. As you already know, this training is provided at very high cost to this organization. Please, if any of you should fail this test, do not feel that your personality is being devaluated. It is in your own interest that we eliminate those of you that could not complete this training, rather than to find out that you are not suited for this profession at the end of a very long training period.
We are in Hamburg, Germany. For a full week, these young applicants are being tested to see whether or not they qualify for commercial pilot training. At the end of this test, a commission of experts decides which of the applicants will go to Bremen for the basic training course in aviation, lasting 4 months.
Ich denke, hat uns überzeugt, dass auch unter Belastung konzentriert arbeiten kann. Und ist auch fähig, sich in der Gemeinschaft anzupassen.
Damit hätte Herr Fischer sich denn hier qualifiziert.
Here, they receive theoretical lectures and practical training in aviation law, air traffic control procedures, first aid, and aerial navigation. The ultimate goal is a private pilot's license and a communications license. It is here that the young man will find out that a commercial pilot will spend a good deal of his lifetime taking courses and being subjected to all kinds of tests. A pilot is not a technician, and yet he must learn to master his machinery. A pilot is not a genius. He is only a normal human being who reacts normally in cases of emergency or stress. But he is above average for his age group in mental and physical fitness. This is a prerequisite to reliability and safety. This training in self-defense, which these young men receive here, may come in handy one day when they are faced with attempts of violence aboard their aircraft.
Das Gefühl, es könnte passieren, dass die Leute, wenn sie ins Ausland kommen, an eine Verlegenheit kommen, wo sie so etwas anwenden müssen.
Maintain 220 to Babelsdorf and continue on course to flight level 260. Clearance expires at 1025. Switching over to tower 118.7. Over.
Lufthansa 155, that is correct.
Hamburg ground, Lufthansa 420, request taxi clearance, IFR to transfer.
Lufthansa 420, Hamburg ground to Roger.
A pilot is not alone in the air. He must hear and he must be heard. The worldwide air traffic control procedures and the communication that goes with it are taught here. At the end of this course, a communications license can be acquired. In this meteorology course, the weather map, transmitted by a satellite, is interpreted. In this link trainer, the student familiarizes himself with the basic flying instruments: artificial horizon, altimeter, rate of climb indicator, airspeed indicator. He also learns to get the feel of the controls and to judge aircraft reaction in relation to his manipulations. He finds out about the relationship between aircraft attitude and airspeed, angle of bank, rate of descent, before entering an actual aircraft.
Steht auf der Airspeed Indicator zurück. Wenn Sie jetzt mal nachdrücken wollen, machen Sie das mal. So, nicht so hastig, ein bisschen langsamer. Dann nimmt die Geschwindigkeit zu, der Höhenmesser geht herunter und es zeigt Ihnen der Horizont an, wie weit Sie das Flugzeug unter dem Horizont gebracht haben.
From Bremen, the students go to Flensburg. These laymen are now beginners. They have acquired a communications license, and they have been trained in basic aviation theory. Now it is time for some actual flying experience. They have to perform air traffic control functions in the tower. More theory is given to them in preparation for their commercial pilot's licenses. Instrument flying is on the agenda. In 6 months, they need 25 hours in the link trainer and 70 hours of actual flying time. There are hard and fast rules for traffic on the airways of the world. Flying an aircraft is a matter of practice, of experience. It is an endless round of takeoffs and landings. Holding patterns, long-distance flying, bad weather and night flying are practiced. Certain actions are repeated. Instruments are observed. They have to get the feel of the aircraft. They have to get to know its possibilities and limitations. Flying starts on the ground. The pilot is responsible for his aircraft. That means he is responsible for doing a complete systems check before every takeoff. Nothing is of minor importance in aviation. Nothing must be left to chance. Commercial aircraft must fly according to a predetermined flight plan. They must be safe, and they should be on time. No speed records are required of a commercial pilot. If he wants to do stunt flying, this is certainly not the place for it. A great day has arrived. The budding pilot goes on his first solo flight. Tower contact is established, and the message is, you're on your own, pal. When that other seat remains empty, he gains a new experience. A pilot must accept responsibility. He must rely on his own know-how. He must be able to do a good job without command or supervision. A pilot is not an adventurer. He avoids taking unnecessary risks. At the end of 6 months, he has learned to take an aircraft into the air and bring it back onto the ground safely, all by himself. Next step, California, USA. 8 months of professional pilot's training continues on twin-engined aircraft.
With that altitude, they can see everything on that scope, but they can't see altitude on that scope.
Experience is gained in flying foreign routes. A total of 230 flying hours is required. Every conceivable situation is encountered, because flying also means making your own decisions, doing the right thing at the right time, receiving and mentally processing information. Approach procedures at large airports are executed. San Diego, a city on the Pacific coastline of the United States. Approaching Lindbergh Airport, a typical example of an airport located in the heart of a big city.
2425 Sierra, San Diego approach control, go ahead.
Pilots must learn to rely on their instruments. One student is beginning to feel the strain, the stress. This is all too much for him.
Yeah, either that at Miramar, that Ratsey, before you leave, you ought to go over there. Avoid procedure when you're arriving at an altitude. It is when you leave, part of fix. Arriving at an altitude is not compulsory unless he tells you, just like he did then.
He keeps repeating the same mistakes. At an instructor's conference, a decision is made to drop the student from the course.
Unsere Seite aus, aber fliegerisch ist er eben nicht zu halten.
Yeah. That's him. That's the traffic heat.
Next step, Las Vegas Airport. A pilot must see, and he must be seen. He learns to make use of flight information and weather charts, and of electronic navigational aids. Suddenly, a rapid decrease in RPM on the left engine. Altitude, 1,300 meters. Check instruments. The fuel supply has been cut by the instructor. Initiate starting procedures according to checklist. Open fuel supply, start engine. There is no time for emotion. The aircraft keeps on flying. The pilot gains confidence.
Take 237 Papa Sierra, San Diego, roger. I report when established eastbound on Victor 66, verify climbing to maintain 5,000. Yes, I want to report established Victor 66. We're in the right turn back to the VOR. Roger, see altitude now. 1,500 and understand the report. Taking a right turn around eastbound to Victor 66. Attention, affirmative, radar contact 4 miles east, San Diego, vortex.
Back to San Diego, Lindbergh Airport. They are going over the checklist prior to landing. Flying is more than taking off and landing. Some of the duties of a commercial pilot are prepare a flight plan, attend a weather briefing, check aircraft for airworthiness, and go through service records. Check load and load distribution, compute fuel consumption, perform pre-flight systems check, get flight clearance, operate controls during flight, and watch engine functions and performance. Communicate with ATC on weather and aircraft position. Observe the airspace around him. Fill out logbooks. And all this is done under the watchful eye of the chief pilot. To fly a commercial aircraft means to continuously receive information, check and verify this information, compare it, and come up with decisions and instructions. A captain is responsible for crew and passengers. For this, he goes through years of preparation and training. Instructors and students are coming back from a long training flight.
The ball's okay.
Yeah, it was a real good flight.
Yeah?
Real good front course, final landing. Real good approach. Real nice approach.
No other industrial vocation demands an equally high degree of physical fitness.
Come to, take left one, left two. Left one off, all off. Starting engine.
A short visit is made to a commercial flight with Pacific Airlines. Now, pilot and aircraft are slowly beginning to complement each other, to grow into a unit. Sometimes there is a discrepancy between what his sense of orientation tells the pilot and what his instruments tell him. A pilot must learn to concentrate and to rely on past experience. Every problem is different and calls for another decision from a vast arsenal of mental resources. The aircraft is flying through a bad weather front and is shaken by heavy turbulence. VOR and DME are providing guidance.
Grand Canyon, VOR. Grand Canyon,
Below is the Grand Canyon, one of the greatest natural wonders of the earth. The pilot feels the fascination of flying. As one student wrote to his girlfriend back in Germany, the 8 months in San Diego are slowly coming to an end. Today we have landed at Grand Canyon Airport, 2,000 meters above sea level, located in northern Arizona. We made a short visit to the national park. I will never forget the beautiful sights. We were watching 2 private aircraft flying through the canyon. Only private pilots can afford to fly like that, through turbulence and up and down drafts. For us students, or even commercial pilots, this would be impossible. Back to Germany for another 4 months of instruction. The objective is a commercial airline pilot's license. 20 additional hours in the link trainer condition the pilot to the more crowded European situation.
Lufthansa 170, report when breaking contact.
More theory and more practice flying are required. Perception, intellect, and awareness are sharpened. Our pilots are getting their finishing touches.
Überfliegen wir das Beacon, turnen sofort auf Senkrechtkurs, 20 Sekunden, und turnen dann outbound für eine gewisse Zeit, bis der Gleitfest durchläuft, und turnen wieder inbound auf unsere Anfluggrundlinie.
The big moment has arrived. Those who have qualified are getting their licenses.
Herr Kett. Herzlichen Glückwunsch.
Danke sehr.
Hals- und Beinbruch. Herr Egner.
Danke sehr.
Herzlichen Glückwunsch. Denken Sie immer an Santiago, an den Fall. Immer Augen auf, immer gut aufpassen, ne? Herr Rüther. Herzlichen Glückwunsch. Ihre Theorie war ja ganz groß.
But that does not mean that they are through learning. Next is a 6 weeks jet aircraft familiarization course using programmed instruction. It is a purely technical course utilizing the latest visual training aids. Its purpose is to familiarize the pilots with the various types of jet aircraft, their equipment, their capabilities, and operating instructions. Jet aircraft with an 80 to 200 passenger capacity have other flying characteristics than small 2 to 4 seat aircraft. They are complicated structures, technically and aerodynamically. A flight engineer aboard the larger jets performs part of the system's control. However, the final decision remains with the pilot. Here is a jet that can perform all the maneuvers of an aircraft without actually flying. A computer-operated flight simulator. Some of its advantages are you can stop a flight in mid-air and analyze mistakes and their consequences, or record every move of crew and aircraft. Under the supervision of a chief instructor, a close cooperation of crew members is assured. The stress is on teamwork. A flight crew is an organizational unit, a work unit. Finally, our pilots are going back to Tucson, Arizona in the United States. Here they acquire flying experience under actual airline operating conditions. Everything is done on a large scale, large aircraft, global distances. They remain in that cockpit around the clock, a concentrated round of training. Everything is encountered: high-density altitude, heat, frost, moisture, winds, climatic change. They will master them all. This, incidentally, is not a cowboy. It's a jet pilot. Takeoff practice on the Boeing 727. In the background, a Boeing 707 Intercontinental. Minimum clearance is practiced. From now on, our pilots have to undergo this rigid test every 6 months if they don't want to lose their licenses. But flying also means boredom. Activity. They have to be able to take it. The check pilot is watching. Fuel is jettisoned in preparation for an emergency landing. Landings with various engines out are practiced. Decompression exercises at 12,000 meters altitude. The pilot must bring the aircraft down to 2,000 meters in a minimum of time. All control surface configurations are practiced. They're coming back from a 4-hour night flight. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. Outside temperature 80 degrees in the shade. A few hours around the pool are used for study. More theory is memorized. An old-timer was overheard telling a student that the most dangerous part of flying is driving your car to the airport. There is a free exchange of experience between old-timers and students. Pilots enjoy talking about aviation. After all, flying also means overcoming gravity. In the case of a modern jet, that is approximately 100 tons of gravity. Into the cockpit are crammed about 500 switches, instruments, communication and navigation devices. Thousands of systems parts are working together to enable that aircraft to fly. Not only does the pilot read out these devices, he continuously checks, compares, reacts. The learning years are coming to an end. But the training years will continue for the rest of his career. What is in this profession for a young man who has chosen to make it his own? Behind the horizon, responsibility is waiting. 3 stripes on the sleeve for a co-pilot. Later, maybe 4 stripes for a captain, and a seat in the cockpit of a commercial airliner. Short routes or long distances, jumbo jets, transonic aircraft, and a chance to help shape the future of aviation.